This is Jack. He slaves away 40 hours a week at a job he hates, has no savings, and to feel better at the end of every week he goes out and parties. In his free time he scrolls social media and swipes Tinder chasing the next hit of easy dopamine. This is Chad. He has his own business and reinvests all of his profits into building his dream life. During his free time he builds connections and hits the gym. Instead of chasing women, he lets them chase him. Ask yourself and be honest. Which one are you? For most people, it'll be somewhere between the two. So if you want to become more like Chad, listen up. I'm a multi-millionaire businessman and today I'm going to share the full 6-step guide that you can use to get ahead of most people this year. Most people won't even reach the end of this video, let alone take action. So if you manage to actually listen to all these points, you'll be at a huge advantage. Step 1, become insanely competitive. I don't buy into the saying, it's the taking part that matters. Our education system is mostly to blame for this thinking, as it's failed to prepare today's youth for the realities of the world. The only reason to take part should be to ultimately win. Just think about it. If you got a friend to do your maths homework because he was top of the class, you'd be punished for cheating. But in life, if you've got a numbers guy to help you in your business, that's called hiring a financial officer, and that's applauded. So the education system has got things backwards. But not only that, social media is making the problem even worse. Instagram is allowing everyday people to see into the lives of the 1%. What was once a very simple path has now become extremely complicated. Back in my day, it was all about leaving school to get a job, which would allow me to buy a car, helping me to attract a woman, and after that, of course, buying a house and finally starting a family. Now, I veered off the path quite a lot as I chose to quit my job and start a business, but that was much rarer in my day. Nowadays, if a man isn't successful, then he's pretty much invisible. I mean, 20% of the people on Tinder get 80% of the matches. This is also leading to rapidly shrinking motherhood in the West, with women twice as likely to not have kids in their 40s compared to the generation before. The popularity of people like Jordan Peterson, Hamza and Tate further prove this point, as they're just saying what a lot of people are thinking. I know I've gone on a bit of a rant here, but the world is honestly harder than ever. If you're serious about getting ahead of everyone else, then you're going to have to get good at playing the game of life on this harder level. Step 2, become hyper obsessive. Another phrase I absolutely hate is work-life balance. There can be no work-life balance when you want to get ahead. People are hungrier than ever and you need to be obsessed over your goals. There's always going to be someone out there who's willing to outwork you. I think the idea of balance is more often than not an excuse for people to take it easy. You need to want to achieve more than you want to breathe. This mentality comes from sport, and I see business as the best sport on the planet, as you just keep getting better with age. I wouldn't let myself forget where I was heading when I built my million-dollar businesses. I even said to my girlfriend, who's now the wife, that she needs to accept that I'm selfish with my work and it will always come first. Now I'm able to relax this rule a little bit more. However, I set the expectation, as I knew I couldn't be distracted by a partner that wasn't fully supportive of my mission. It may sound silly, but one thing that did keep me on track was writing down everything I wanted to change on sticky notes. I then stuck them to my mirror so that I'd see them every morning. This kept me accountable. I had to wake up and face the reality of my situation and ask myself why I wasn't moving faster towards these targets. Step 3, become a producer. The truth is, for the world to go round, we need consumers. People need to watch mindless entertainment, buy products, and fall into bad debt so that the 1% can reap the rewards. I know it sounds obvious, but if you created something and there was no one to buy it, then you couldn't become rich. It's so easy for us all to fall into consumer mode, as it's baked into our DNA. We just want to relax, watch TV and buy the latest products. Some people think you should cut all of the consumer habits out of your life. But to be honest with you, I find the whole monk mode movement a bit unrealistic and cringy. Monk mode consists of basic rules such as at least 10 minutes of daily meditation, no drugs or alcohol, and at least 30 minutes of daily exercise. Honestly, I've never put rules like this on myself. It would have just sucked all the joy out of life. However, I do agree with the principle. I like to think of it as a sliding scale, with producer on one end and consumer on the other. I've always aimed to slide my scale more towards the producer end of the spectrum. When I was younger, I gave up the things I wasn't too worried about, such as parties with people I wasn't that close to. Instead, I'd use that time to work on my product designs. Even if you're able to push your scale just a little bit towards the producer end, then you will get ahead of most people, as they aren't even aware they go through life fully on consumer mode. Step 4. Become better at asking questions. Lots of videos like this will say, find a mentor. However, they're very vague about how to actually do that. The secret lies in the questions you ask. When I was a kid, I loved model aeroplanes. I didn't stop asking my dad about them, so he took me to a model flying club. The members at the club loved my enthusiasm, and one of them, a successful businessman called David, took me under his wing. He would give me tips and tricks to make my models fly even better. I'd implement them, and then he'd give me even more the following week. As I got older, his advice slowly shifted into business tips, and I applied the same principles of listening and taking action. Right, there's something I want to clear up. There is such a thing as a bad question. Anyone that says otherwise is mistaken. Take this question for example. Can I ask you for some advice? My Instagram messages are full of questions like this, and they never get a reply. Here's why. When you're messaging an extremely busy person, the last thing you want to do is create more work for them. If I was to reply to all those messages, then I'd start hundreds of new conversations. I'd then have to follow up after they replied with their actual question. So I've made a rule to only answer the people that ask clear and concise questions. I suspect a lot of other successful people have similar rules, so the quality of the questions you ask will determine whether or not they help you. On top of this, if you ask someone for advice and then don't take action, the next time you need advice, they aren't going to waste their time. However, be careful, as there's a lot of fake mentors and gurus out there. So you need to be very careful who you take advice from. Not everyone has your best interests at heart. Just remember, a fake mentor doesn't have experience in doing what they teach. A real one does. Step 5, become immune to net worth. Look, I'm just going to say it. Net worth means nothing. Bear with me on this one. In my opinion, getting ahead of everyone else isn't just to do with how rich you are. It's about the skills, the knowledge, and the confidence you acquire while you're building your empire. Someone could have bought Shiba Inu in the last crypto bull run and cashed out billions. This doesn't mean they know anything useful and how to actually replicate that success. The exact same goes for lottery winners. They often lose all the money they won very rapidly, as they became rich because of a shortcut, not the skills that they developed. Some industries are much tougher than others. So in many cases, an entrepreneur worth $10 million may actually be a better businessman than a Silicon Valley tech entrepreneur worth $100 million. This is why you really shouldn't be measuring yourself based on net worth. I understand why people do it. It's an easy way to compare success. However, there is much more to being ahead of everyone else than the size of your bank account. Step 6. Become less awkward with money. Every dollar that you spend, someone else is earning. Every building you see as you drive down the street, someone else owns. The amount of money out there waiting to be grabbed would shock you. Believing that money is hard to make, or that there's a very limited supply, is what keeps so many people trapped. I was talking with an author called Daniel Priestley the other day, and he mentioned that his mentor actually made him carry around $1,000 in his pocket when he was younger. This might sound dangerous, but the reason behind it was to make Daniel think of $1,000 as pocket change, not his entire net worth. Becoming more comfortable with money will help you ask for raises, start a side hustle, or even a full-blown business. When my son started his first videography business, I asked him how much he was going to charge, and he told me $100 per day, and I just laughed. We actually had quite a big argument over that, and maybe my response was a bit harsh. The issue is that he thought that $100 was a lot because he was thinking about how he spends money, not how business operates. Long story short, I convinced him to charge more than $200 per day, and now he takes consultations for more than $5,000 a day, something that he wouldn't have been able to even comprehend 5 years ago. The other thing that happens when you start to realize that money is everywhere is you actually become less afraid of giving, and this is the real secret of getting rich. You need to give far more value to other people than you take in return. If you provide value, then the money will follow. The size of your income will also be determined by the problems you solve. So, if you want to make big money, solve big problems. Look, if we go back to my flying days as a pilot, a 1-degree difference in the trajectory of a flight will put the plane in a completely different continent after a day of flying. The same is true for getting ahead of everyone else. Making a small adjustment now and sticking with it will mean that you end up in a far better place than you were originally heading. Well done for making it this far, and if you did, then leave a comment saying, "I'm in the club," so that others are confused. If you want to start earning more money, then here are 7.5 high-paying online job ideas, but don't click on it just yet. Make sure to subscribe if you want to grow your wealth. Okay, I'll see you over there.